Islam, 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 family. Hotep, Hotep, Hotep. Alafia, Alafia, Alafia. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Que pasa, que pasa, que pasa. Power to the people, power to the people, power to the people. Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising. Royal rising, royal rising, royal rising. Greetings, greetings, greetings. God bless, God bless, God bless. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? That's a big question right there. How you doing? When you can identify with how you doing, which is along the lines of my topic or vibrational speech or focus in this video. Okay, this is Moorish Thought, where we share knowledge, wisdom, and over understanding into the science of self. I am your host, I got a couple. I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna get it together because I wanna. I fix it. I fix it. Just trying to decide which appellation is best for each of the platforms. Moorish Thought. Moorish Thought. I think for Moorish Thought, because on the, I'll probably keep it at Doctor Bey. Because Doctor Bey, I'm the doctor. Yeah, here we go. I'm the spiritual doctor in Moorish Thought, where we break down the Quran, okay, which is reflection of self. Where I'm sharing natural medicine, I'm Dr. Bey, sharing herbal remedies for our physical selves, okay? So I'm a physical doctor and I'm a spiritual doctor, okay, with the platform dealing with Moorish Thought, whether it's the science of self or the science of natural medicine. So there we go. That's how we're gonna do that, like that. Dr. Bey, okay? We Dr. Bey spiritually here, okay? Not medicinally, okay? Herbal medicinal. All right, fam, I like to go to, I think I was thinking about chapter 3, okay? Elihu's lesson, the unity of life. But before I go on to that, and I've been neglecting to do this the last couple of videos, briefly, I like to present myself. I am Chief Justice Durand with Murrell Bey, in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the authority on the land. Okay. Fam, I like to read from chapter 3. Elihu's lessons, the unity of life. And I'm starting at the top. My main focus is at the bottom, but to create the balance, I'm reading the top and the bottom. Okay, some of the top and then some of the bottom of the chapter. Okay, It starts out, and Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man live unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. And I do wish to elaborate on that, you know what I'm saying, because it's so profound. Do I want to elaborate on this? Man don't live alone, okay? Everything you do and everything you say around other people has the ability and the power of influence, okay? And your influence is going to determine whether you acting out of your higher self or you acting out of your lower self, okay? Now, with that being said, I've been informed several times from particularly my brother, biological brother, and his friends who, unfortunately, I influenced low vibrationally 30-some years ago, okay? I didn't know it at the time. I knew I showed them certain things, but I didn't think, because I wasn't a thinker then, about how or about what I was actually doing in the path that I was leading them down. Until I got out and they started to praise me for the things I did. And it threw me. And I'm like, what? No, 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 no. I don't want to be praised for that. But remember, I read some time ago that accident and something else is due to praise. To thee and to accident is due to praise. When we're acting out of impulse, okay? Because you don't know what the outcome gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Because it's out of impulse. And as I reflected on that, it disturbed my heart. And I would also say it motivated, encouraged, and inspired me to stay strong in my new walk, in my new level of being, high vibrational, high frequency, you know, and high energy, okay? Because I would never, ever want to negatively influence another individual again. And another thing I like to point out, past relationships, okay? And trust me, let me hold on. Past relationships where I was still operating in my low because I have yet to conquer my emotions, my expectations, you know what I'm saying? Even past trauma, okay? And that's where the emotions and expectations stem from, my trauma, because I would easily go from 0 to 10, you know, and it was easy because the people I was around didn't have right knowledge, but I chose them, you know what I'm saying? So I had to be responsible, but I neglected my responsibility to some extent because I couldn't keep a clear head. You know what I'm saying? Because I was baffled by some of the things that were said and did and so forth, when I shouldn't have been. You know what I'm saying? Because I already knew who I was with and who I was around. Okay. So I have evolved from those low vibrational emotions. I have evolved from the high expectations of other people. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, today I'm able to set a much better example for people, because as the lessons say, every living thing is bound by a cord to every other living thing. And the key is living. We're not talking physical. We ain't talking 120. Remember, life begins and ends on the spirit plane. Okay? The soul can't live without the spirit. The body can't live without the spirit. Okay? So, but everybody got life in them to some degree or another, even if it's 1 degree. Everybody got at least one. In other words, everybody got some good in them, because nobody can be good or evil entirely. Okay? So with this influence, fam, is very, very important. If you are a responsible being, a responsible parent, a responsible father, a responsible mother, you know what I'm saying, a responsible brother, responsible sister, responsible daughter, responsible son, responsible aunt, responsible uncle, responsible grandma, responsible grandpa, a responsible great-grandma, or a responsible great-grandpa. If you're a responsible cousin, you know what I'm saying, it's very, very important, you know what I'm saying, that you be mindful what you say, what you do, and particularly what you think. Okay? First, what you think. Because if you catch what you think, then you'll never have to say it to negatively influence those who are listening. It's important to catch it in your thoughts before you commit the act and negatively influence someone that sees you. Because once you do it, fam, you can't take it back. And we don't realize that we're creating a lot of damage to our environment, to our community, because we're not responsible for what we're thinking, what we're saying, and what we're doing. When I was a child, I thought like a child. I understood as a child, so I acted like a child. Some of y'all still acting like children, fam, because you're thinking like children, because you have yet to renew your mind. But you say you're a Christian. You say you're Muslim. You say you're Moor. You say you're Hebrew Israelite or Israelite. You say you're Rastafarian. You say you're Catholic. You say you practice Zen. You practice Buddhism. You practice Confucianism. You practice some form of divinity. But you can't practice that if you're not self-reflecting and being mindful. The lessons say self-reflection is the business of man. A sense of his state is his first duty. At all times, you have to be mindful of what's going on in here. You got to be mindful of your energy field, because when it becomes dense, you know what you're supposed to do? Immediately You're supposed to stop what you're doing and go straight into meditation and calm that energy down and get back focused and get back in tune. Okay? And I know this may sound like an impossibility, but it's not. You have the power in you to be your best self. You know what I'm saying? And you may not believe in your best because you have yet to unfold in your best. It's the same way when you first started riding your bike when you got it. You know what I'm saying? You got frustrated. You're like, man, I ain't gonna never get there. You know, some of y'all, you know. But you eventually got it through effort. You know what I'm saying? Through practice. It's the same way. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off, fam. Fundamentals. You can never go wrong when you go back to the fundamentals. Moors. Read your lessons. Go over your one-on-ones. Memorize them like you're supposed to when you first started out and you neglected, which is the reason why you suffering the way you're suffering now. Go back and get the fundamentals down, and you won't have the problems that you're having now. You see what I'm saying? So fam, always be mindful of your energy and keep it in alignment. Stay in control. Our lessons say you take the square and you draw a circle around your passion and desires to keep them in the bounds of moderation, so they'll grow into righteousness. Okay? Put a circle around them. Acknowledge what they are. Be mindful of them. And don't lose control of them. Don't take your eye off of them. Because when you do, they're going to sneak across the road. They ain't supposed to be across the road. Because they go across that road, they're liable to get hit and get damaged. You know what I'm saying? You keep them in the bounds of moderation, you keep them safe. You know what I'm saying? And you keep them from hurting anybody. Remember, fam, we dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And some of y'all dangerous because you're unconscious. And some of y'all are dangerous because you're conscious. You know what I'm saying? Both creates damage, but one creates destruction while the other one tears down and build back up. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime you take away, you got to give or replace what you took. You see what I'm saying? Only the conscious are able to do that. Okay? So, you're dangerous because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know your power, and you're using your power for evil, for low vibration, and you're misleading your community. Selling the dope, selling the drugs, selling the pills, selling everything that keeps your people down. When you need to learn to love instead of hate, because that's the message that the prophet brought. You know what I'm saying? We have failed from the we have failed from fallen humanity. We have debased ourselves, you know, which is the reason why we need to pick ourselves back up. But we can only do that with love, fam, because love is the savior of the world, okay? So this influence is really big, you know, and a lot of y'all up under indoctrination in a program that someone else taught you, and you wonder why your life is not changing. You got to let go of the devil's tools. You got to come out of the devil's playground. And you got to go into the Most High Mother and Father's garden, where life is growing, where you can learn about life, where you can learn about love, where you can learn about truth, where you can learn about peace, freedom, and justice. You know what I'm saying? And you can take these lessons and set your house in order. You can take these lessons and teach your children how to love instead of hate. Because this is what a loving parent would do to influence not just their children, who they are directly teaching, but you teach other children in the community indirectly through your children, because you know your children is going to set a positive example. And it's what y'all Christian children supposed to be doing. But you can't expect your children to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice if you're not teaching them love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And to teach something, you have to break it down to where they can understand it. And you can see them practicing it, because that's part of the schooling, okay? And you know where they're at within themselves because you have sat and counseled them. It ain't just do as I say and not as I do. That don't work. It's been proven not to work. And you're not a parent just because you order your children around, especially you're doing all that cussing. That's low vibrational energy. You don't teach children that way. You know what I'm saying? And if you acting that way, all you doing is raising a devil to be a devil just like you. Okay? To keep it all the way raw and real. Okay? Let me continue to read and to support that last statement that I just said. Okay? Let me put these back on. Then we're going to close this out. Okay. It says, blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the pure in heart. I told you, a lot of things y'all consider blessings, they ain't from the Most High Mother and Father. They ain't from Allah. You know what I'm saying? The devil give gifts too, okay? And sometimes he might tell you he's going to give you a gift and end up not giving you your gift. Leave you all the way hanging. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the deception. You know what I'm saying? So, only blessed, I'm adding only, are the pure in heart. You got to be pure in heart, fam. God ain't playing with this. You playing. You deceiving yourself because you letting the devil in and lie to you. Got to kick that devil out your church. Kick that devil out your mosque. Kick that devil out your temple. Okay? Kick that devil out your synagogue. You know what I'm saying? And your temple, your mosque, your church, and your synagogue are within. It ain't no outside building. Okay? They will not do to other men. Okay, now let me finish. The previous instruction says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will love and not demand love in return. They're going to give, you know what I'm saying? And they're not going to look to receive. You know, sometimes we tend to expect, but we get disappointed, don't we? You know what I'm saying? So stop expecting. Just give, and give. And then you're going to come to learn that the more you give, the more you've been receiving from yourself. Because all the giving you gave, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to come back in a different form too, but in due season. And I did say due season, you know what I'm saying? And you got to wait for that season, you know what I'm saying? It ain't like the 4 season where you can wait every 4 months, you know, for a new season. See, months on the spiritual plane, it's like decades sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Real talk, okay, for those that don't. So don't look for nothing for nobody. Be the giver. Be the giver, fam. They will not do to other men what they will not have other men do unto them. Okay? You're not going to do to somebody what you don't want done to you. Okay? You're not going to do it if you're pure. If you vibrating on high, you know. If you're vibrating in good frequency, you know what I'm saying? It's not our nature. You then took on somebody else's nature, and that's why you're confused, that's why you're lost, that's why you're hurting, that's why you're in pain, you know. That's why you're by yourself, you know. That's why you're not comfortable, you're not content, you're not satisfied. But you got the power to reverse all of that through your will. You got to do something different, fam. You got to try something new. There are two selves, the higher self and lower self. We got to know that there's two selves. Because once we know that there's two selves, we start to distinguish between the two, and we start to identify the devil, and we start to identify God. And we start to acknowledge, hold up, I got more of the devil going on in my life than I do God. So let me cut this out, to cut that devil out, so I have more high vibrational, more godly, more divine, and more spiritual things going on. And then I could be more happier than I've been, more content than what I've been, more high vibrational, more positive, okay? Because at the end of the day, that's what our nature, you know what I'm saying, craves for, you know. But we got lower nature too. You don't want to start to feed that boy or that girl, because when you start to feed that low vibrational energy, you need to exercise a whole lot of strength to get rid of it, you know. And you talking about some work. But once you do it, you ain't gonna want to do it again. Okay. The higher self is human spirit. So we got to identify what the higher self is to relate with its attributes and how we could perform it. Okay. So we got to seek knowledge of the high and seek knowledge of the low. You got to know the devil. Same way you know God, which you really don't know God. So you got to dig deep so you know God, and to know God is to practice God. Same way you know the devil because you're practicing the devil. You practicing low vibrational energy. All that cussing and drinking and smoking and all that other negativity that you got going on in your life. You know what I'm saying? You know. So the higher self is human spirit clothed with soul. Human spirit. Life is in the spirit, not the body. You know what I'm saying? Unless the spirit is in the body. Okay? But spirit is the only life. So higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah, made in the form of God, made in the form of Yah, made in the form of Elodamari, made in the form of spirit, made in the form of the Most High Mother and Father, made in the form of high vibrational energy, made in the form of your best self, okay? The lower self, we're going to learn about this devil. Yeah, I used to learn about that devil. I'm talking about detail about that devil. So you'll see him anytime he come around. He can't disguise himself. You know what I'm saying? Because you know him all too well because you did your research. You analyzed his behavior in depth, okay? The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of the higher self, a reflection. It can't exist without the high. You see what I'm saying? Distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. Because this is what the devil do. He take the truth and distort it and then give you that distortion. And it looks so good to you that you bite into that apple only to come to find out, oh, this is bitter, and you spit it out. But you've been contaminated. You're suffering from the taste when you shouldn't have bit it. You should have analyzed it a little more, because there's signs to tell if it's a bad apple or not. You know, just don't go off the look. Sometimes you might have to cut that bad boy down the middle and look inside, and you'd be like, oh, yep, that's what I thought. There it is. I'm glad I ain't bite into that. Okay? The lower self is an illusion. That means it ain't real. It appears to be good, but it ain't good. And will pass away. Okay? So 1 minute is there, and the next minute is gone. Then when the truth appears, the truth stays forever. That's how you know the difference. You know what I'm saying? The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is a law in man and will not pass away. Your spirit cannot die, fam, and your spirit is your God. Your spirit is your best self, is your high vibrational self. It's the life in you, okay, that flows through your blood, okay? The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed. The lower self is truth reversed. So somebody took the truth and reversed it and taught you this, influenced you with this. You thought it was true, but it's the truth reversed. It looked true because there's some truth in it, but you ain't dissected long enough. You bit it too soon, you know. And sometimes y'all bite into a rotten apple, and you so used to eat rotten apples that you think the apple is good. But you knew it had a bitter taste, but you were so hungry that you weren't paying attention to the taste. And you just greedily gobbled it down. And then you wonder why you end up with an upset stomach. And you pooping everywhere, you know. It says the higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. Got to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? It's like Malcolm X say, whatever they say, the opposite is the truth. So if you pay attention to what they say, and then you look at the opposite, that's the truth, and that's what you follow. You know what I'm saying? It's plain and simple, you know. You just got to make it simple and stop believing everything you hear. Stop believing everything that come out their mouth, okay? It says the higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. You might have to go back and look up each one of them words so you have a working definition in your mind. So when you get that working definition, if falsehood appears, you will see it plainly, because you know it ain't the truth, because you know truth, because you done look truth up. You done tap into yourself and you found the truth within you. See, that's another level of study that you got to do. You got to apply what you study to how you think and what's in your mind and what comes out your mouth and what you find yourself practicing on a daily basis. And when you see that you're not in alignment with the truth, then that's when you're supposed to change your ways. You're already renewing your mind by re-educating yourself through study and analyzation of self. And when you can do that, victory is sure. You will not fail. You will be victorious. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the way it's designed. and the devil will not deceive you. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. They opposites of each other. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. How many times somebody went out having fun, drinking and smoking, and end up getting smoked, end up catching a stray bullet because you were around devils, other devils. You hang out with devils, you get what devils get. You hang out with godly people, everything gonna stay peaceful, respectful, calm, cool, and collected. Some of y'all don't like high vibrational energy because that devil's so great in you, and you don't check that devil, so that devil thrives by your choice. It gives me apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you well have studied them, and then would ask me what to study next, I would reply, yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world. He who knows, he who studies, he who analyzes, he who breaks down, he who ponders is a master in knowledge of the lower self. So he knows the illusions of the world because he's well studied, knows the things that pass away, and he who knows his higher self knows Allah, knows well the things that cannot pass. So you got to study, analyze, and break down, and ponder the good, the godly things, the divine things, the spiritual things in you. Because I said, you are magnificent, you are holy, you divine, you are the greatest. But you got to know your greatness in order to be your greatness, okay? I'm gonna read this next one, and then I'm gonna leave it with the next two. And I'm gonna touch on the last one. I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't wanna read the whole chapter because it's not time for me to read the whole chapter, because I'm starting out, I'm reading from chapter 1 all the way through, and I haven't read chapter 2 yet. I just happen to have a message that tied in with chapter 3. You know what I'm saying? And I almost read the whole thing, but I ain't gonna read the whole thing, okay? So I'm gonna come back and read it again in the order when it comes, okay? It says, thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. Because when you make purity and love your very own, it's like seeking you first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. Because when you moving in spirit with purity and love, and you operate on the soul plane, and you acting, which is the actions of the soul, are thinking, understanding, reasoning, and willing. When purity and love is in your thinking, when purity and love is in your understanding, when purity and love is in your reasoning, and when purity and love is in your willing, ooh, tell me it ain't no heaven. Tell me it ain't high vibrational. Tell me it ain't no peaceful home. Tell me it ain't no loving home, a loving environment, a loving being to be around. But some of y'all don't want love because y'all so used to hate, and you don't want to let that hate go, which is the reason why I'm reading this next instruction and elaborate and stop, because that's what it gets into. It says, now let me finish the previous instruction, start all over. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the pearls of the lower self. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, men seek salvation in things that have no worth, has no value. You know what I'm saying? And they bring these things up and brag and talk about them as if they talking about something, but they ain't talking about nothing. Because what they talking about gonna pass away. 1 minute it's there, next minute it's not. You know what I'm saying? 1 minute they breathing, and the next minute they not. 1 minute they're around, and the next minute they gone to jail, prison, you know, or in the hospital about to die, or recovering from a gunshot, or a beating, or a stabbing, because they did something wrong to somebody and they got their karma. Okay? Let me read that again. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the pearls of the lower self and is himself his highest self. And is himself his highest self. He's at love and he's at purity. You know what I'm saying? He's at patience. He's at magnificence. He's that that love, that truth, that peace, that freedom. He's all things good, all things high vibrational. Okay? Because these are the treasures that's in his treasure chest or in her treasure chest. Because when you cultivate your mind, when you ponder on positive things, that's how you build your wealth. Don't give the devil no attention. He's going to be there trying to distract you, get your attention, get you to indulge. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be strong and courageous. Okay? Last instruction. Men seek salvation from an evil that them a living monster of the nether world. Don't come from nowhere. They have gods that are but demons in disguise of good, in disguise of something that they not. You know what I'm saying? Because if they reveal themselves that they demons, then you won't take heed. But they're going to dress themselves up as God. They're going to dress themselves up as priests. They're going to dress themselves up as angels. They're going to dress themselves up as sheiks. They're going to dress themselves up as imams. They're going to dress themselves up as preachers. They're going to dress themselves up as righteous men and women. But deep down, if you pay attention, the words are about deception because they come to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay? All powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust. See, a lot of y'all allow jealousy, hate, and lust to come out of you is because you in your emotions. You're not founded in truth because you ain't studied enough or you ain't studied at all. You got to study to know. You don't know because you don't study. You know what I'm saying? You believe what everybody say, but you don't know because you're not studying. You're not breaking nothing down. You're not analyzing. You're not pondering. And you're not taking what you're learning and applying it to you and cleaning your life up and getting you right and getting yourself in alignment with doing the right thing. And until you do that, you evil, you wicked, you the devil, you know what I'm saying? And you about deception. And that's the reason why your children turn out sometimes worse than you or just like you. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to turn around and tell them, you know what I'm saying? Or judge them or criticize them. But yet you can't judge and criticize yourself. You're a hypocrite because that's hypocritical. I didn't make you a hypocrite. Your words, your works, and your deeds made you a hypocrite because you didn't want to do the work by seeking ye first the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? Control over your mind and the things that's in your mind. I'm going to close with the monkeys, my favorite monkeys. See no evil, hear no evil. That way you won't speak no evil and you won't mislead nobody, including your children. Peace, love, and happiness, fam. I hope that my knowledge, wisdom, over understanding was inspiration, inspiring, and motivating towards you being your best self. Okay? And the day has come, the time has come, the era has come. You know what I'm saying? What's that other term? We are in a cycle. You know what I'm saying? A 2,180-year cycle where the law is that you must proclaim your nationality. If you don't proclaim your nationality, you don't get what you're entitled to. Because without your nationality, you have no true self-identification. That means however you identify yourself, it's a lie. And that lie gonna keep you at the bottom of society, receiving the crumbs and working the hardest. Keep on calling yourself Negro. Keep on calling yourself Black. Keep on calling yourself African American. Keep on calling yourself a nigger or any other term that those who presented themselves as your oppressor, as your master, has indoctrinated and programmed you with. Okay? We just broke down about the high and the low. Okay? You've been in the low all your life. That means whatever title has been given you was a lie. Especially if you ain't analyzed it, broke it down, studied, you know what I'm saying, and found the truth and understand what the opposite of the truth is so you can distinguish between the two. Until you do that, you're going to continue to suffer, fam. You know what I'm saying? And it's because you're being hard-headed because I done showed love by giving you the direction, you know what I'm saying, and the fundamentals that you need to get your house in order, okay? Peace, fam. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. This is Moorish Thought, sharing knowledge, wisdom, over understanding into the science of self. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day, night, and rest of the strong, because there ain't nothing weak about us. Peace.